Streaming live on News8000.com. This is News 8 Now, This Morning.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Alexandra Carter.
And I'm Derek Sibley.
It is Thursday, November 30th, 2023. Yesterday felt pretty good, I will say.
Yeah.
You know, the sun was shining.
Yeah.
You didn't need the heaviest parka, which is, good news.
Yeah, very mild for the time of the year,
Yeah.
right? And, I'm happy to tell you that today's going to be pretty similar.
Good news, for sure. Yeah.
So we got a little bit of a cool down coming this weekend, but other than that, it's not looking terrible
Yeah, we
temperature-wise.
can worry about that later.
Exactly. And, today you might want to scrape off a little bit of the frost here on your way to your morning commute, because that's kind of what we're dealing with. We have a little bit of moisture in the air combined with light winds, and our temperatures right now, as you can see there on your screen, are into the 20s and low 30s. Even some spots even colder than that, like Black River Falls, you're currently at 16. Boscobel not too far from that at 18 degrees. Well, right at the freezing mark from Winona through La Crosse and also into Viroqua at the moment. Here's a check now on your planner. We got clear skies, 28 degrees being the temperature to start by 7. 9 o'clock rolls around. We're at 32 degrees, mostly sunny skies, and we're going to be looking at a mainly sunny day throughout the afternoon, as highs will be around 42. Clear skies settling into this evening with temperatures dropping into the low to mid 30s. Northwest winds today at around 5 to 10 miles an hour. So stay tuned. I'll have a check on your schoolcast. We'll let you know how that goes, plus your full weather forecast. And I'll give the details on the 8-day here coming up in just a little bit. Alexandra?
We will see you then, Derek. Thank you. Time now for some morning headlines. Overnight, Israel and Hamas struck a deal to continue the temporary pause in fighting in exchange for the release of more hostages. It comes as U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is back in the Middle East today. Yesterday, 16 more hostages, including one American, were released by Hamas. CBS News correspondent Chanel Call has more for us from New York.
The temporary ceasefire between Israel and Hamas has stretched into a 7th day as Secretary of State Antony Blinken returned to the region for a 3rd time since the war began.
We have been focused relentlessly on trying to secure the release of hostages.
Yesterday, Hamas handed off a 6th group of hostages. Among them was one Israeli-American woman, 49-year-old Liat Benin.
I talked with her mother and father. They're very appreciative, and things are moving well. She'll soon be home with her 3 children.
Benin's husband remains in captivity. On Capitol Hill yesterday, the relatives of hostages urged the U.S. government to do more to bring their loved ones home.
Time is ticking, and it's not in our favor.
Hamas tells CBS News it is willing to provide evidence for new claims that hostages Shiri Babas and her 10-month-old and 4-year-old sons were killed by an Israeli airstrike in Gaza. Israeli Defense Forces say they are now investigating. In the West Bank, crowds gathered to greet a group of 30 Palestinian prisoners released from Israeli prisons yesterday. Israeli officials now say at least 3 people were killed and several others injured when 2 gunmen opened fire near a bus stop in Jerusalem this morning. The shooting suspects were reportedly neutralized at the scene.
In addition to his meetings with Israeli leader, Secretary of State Antony Blinken also plans to sit down with Palestinian leader Mahmoud Abbas in the West Bank during his trip. Meanwhile, back in the U.S., at least 4 people were arrested after a huge pro-Palestinian protest at the annual Rockefeller Center Christmas tree lighting. During the ceremony, hundreds of Palestine supporters had gathered near the tree. At least 4 people were arrested in 2 separate incidents. This comes less than a week after 34 people were arrested last Thursday after pro-Palestinian protests interrupted and delayed the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade. A man accused of attempted homicide in La Crosse will have his competency evaluated. That was decided in court yesterday. 43-year-old Freeman Cole is accused of beating and trying to strangle a woman to death. Cole faces counts of attempted first-degree intentional homicide, strangulation and suffocation, and false imprisonment. Attorneys raised Cole's competency and he'll now undergo an evaluation to see whether he is fit to stand trial. He's expected back in court December 29th. A Rochester man arrested in La Crosse is now facing federal charges. A grand jury indicted 24-year-old Javon Jones Shields in Madison for multiple drug and gun charges. If convicted of the cocaine possession charge, he'll face 20 years in prison. The firearm charge carries a mandatory minimum of 5 years and a maximum of life in prison. 4 people were hospitalized following a school bus and car collision in Hillsdale, Minnesota. That crash happened just before 7 yesterday morning near Ridgeview Road on Highway 14. 3 people on the school bus were taken to Winona Health for non-life-threatening injuries. The driver of the car was airlifted to Gunderson with life-threatening injuries. And another bus crash in Milwaukee left a 3-year-old seriously hurt. That crash happened just before noon yesterday. According to reports, officers were trying to stop a car connected to a homicide case in Chicago when the driver refused to stop and crashed into that school bus, flipping it on its side. Police say the suspect then got out of the vehicle and ran from the scene, but was arrested later. The 26-year-old and the 3-year-old were also in the vehicle at the time. The 3-year-old was taken to the hospital with serious injuries. The 71-year-old bus driver was also taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Congress could vote as soon as tomorrow on whether or not they will expel Representative George Santos. This comes after a House Ethics Committee report accusing the New York Republican of using campaign contribution on things like Botox, personal shopping, and travel. Back in May, Santos pleaded not guilty to 23 federal charges of alleged fraud tied to his campaign. Friday's vote would need 2/3 of the House to pass to possibly expel Santos from his seat. If he is expelled, a 90-day special election would be triggered to find his replacement. Some local doctors are going the extra mile to bring medical care directly to an often forgotten segment of the community, especially when it comes to health care, the unsheltered population. News 8 Now's Michael Germain has the story for us.
Really, our goal is to make sure that people are safe.
The outreach team consists of the La Crosse Fire Department, emergency personnel, and others from a variety of organizations. Sandy Brecky is the senior consultant to the Office of Population Health at Gunderson Health System. Brecky is a part of the mobile medical team, which provides medical assistance to folks in need.
We're taking care of medical issues right on the spot. So we have a mobile van that we take out, and on Wednesdays we have physicians and residents and nurses out. And so any medical needs that people have, we can address right there on the spot.
Brecky says it can be hard for the homeless to get care at Gunderson Health. So instead, they take their care to them.
Because we know there's a lot of barriers for them to actually come into the health system.
With the colder temperatures making their way through the Cooley region, there are several health risks you need to be aware of.
We're worried about hypothermia. We're worried about people that maybe have mental illness or substance use disorder that maybe can't even identify when they're in trouble.
But out of everything, the reoccurring theme is frostbite.
We're still right now working with 2 people who have complications from frostbite from last year. The other thing we see a lot of is what we call trench foot.
Trench foot is caused when your feet get wet, but they're not properly dried off, which can be difficult to fix, especially during the winter months.
Their feet are sitting, wet all the time. So it's hot and cold and wetness, which can cause infections and complications in people's feet.
Molly McCormick, the community risk educator for the La Crosse Fire Department, says these people are still community members regardless of their housing situations.
We're trying to reach folks that are at most risk, and so in our community, the unsheltered population is a group that needs that extra connection.
McCormick says it's more about building relationships and trust within the community.
It's difficult. It's hard being here and knowing what people are facing, but it's nice to be just even to bring kindness. I think that the world needs a little more kindness, a little more compassion, and that's really going to help in this hardship and the trauma that folks have faced.
Still ahead on your morning news, the UAW looking to expand to auto workers who don't have union representation. We'll tell you about their plan in just a few minutes. And gas prices are continuing to drop even as we head into the winter months. After the break, we'll take a look at why some analysts are fearing the dropping trend may not last much longer. That and more coming up this morning. For now, we're sending you to break with something to put the good in your morning. Here's a unique idea. This vending machine may look like a regular vending machine, but it's not. It dispenses food and medical supplies for those in need in Virginia. According to its designer, the machine vends joy. The vending machine gives donations of vouchers that buy meals, vaccine, clothing, and even animals like goats and chickens. The giving machine is sponsored by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, It's not just in Virginia. These machines are all around the country, including in Des Moines, Iowa, and Aurora, Illinois. They'll be operating throughout the month of December. Don't go anywhere. Your consumer news at News 8 Now this morning is after the break.
Well, we got clear skies all across the Coulee region right now, but the combination of the clear skies and temperatures that are currently below freezing in some spots, along with some of the light winds that we're experiencing, could cause some frost formation on your windshield this morning, so just be aware of that for that commute. 32 degrees now in Winona, same in La Crosse. We're looking at 32 in Viroqua. Temperatures in Eau Claire currently running at 20 degrees. Another mild day is in store all across the area this afternoon, as high temperatures will be into the low 40s. We got 43 in West Salem with plenty of sunshine here today. Moving south, though, into areas like Viroqua, we'll be looking at highs around 40. Stoddard's at 43 today. Brownsville with a high of 43. Caledonia, 41 degrees. Moving north into our central communities, 41 today in Trempealeau and 42 in Melrose. We're looking at highs around 41 in Alma towards the west in Buffalo County. 38 today in Eau Claire and 41 if you're in the Fall Creek area this afternoon. Your schoolcast this morning, we're going to be looking at 28 degrees if you're getting the kids ready for school this morning. And then on the way back home, we should be looking at temperatures reaching 42 while still looking at mainly clear sunny skies. I would check on your full weather forecast, and that's still to come next in weather.
Thanks, Derek. In your consumer news this morning, the United Auto Workers are looking to expand. The union is kicking off a campaign to organize workers at 13 non-union automakers. That includes Tesla, Toyota, and Honda. According to the UAW, it received widespread support from its colleagues at non-union plants. The union says it plans to focus on the Toyota Assembly Complex in Kentucky. That factory employs nearly 8,000 people. OpenAI is making Sam Altman's return official. The company says it's rehiring him 12 days after he was ousted. That firing was the result of differences Altman had with the company's board. According to Reuters, the firing happened just days after OpenAI researchers made a major AI discovery that could threaten humanity. Several lawmakers, including Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, are applauding Altman's return.
He's back in charge, and I think most people feel that's a good thing because he's such, we want to stay in the lead on AI. OpenAI has been leading the charge. There are other good companies, big and small, but I think there's a sigh of relief in the industry and probably in the country that Sam is back there.
OpenAI says it's also creating a new board. Altman's dismissal sent shockwaves through the world of technology, with more than 800 OpenAI employees threatening to quit in response. Disney is announcing plans to turn Marvel around. Just weeks after Marvel's worst release ever, Disney CEO Bob Iger says big changes are in store for the superhero giant. The Marvels came out earlier this month, and audiences have not been that enthusiastic. Iger told the New York Times Marvel needs to focus on quality rather than quantity. According to the CEO, he'll only greenlight superhero stories that are, quote, worth telling. Gas prices are still dropping, I'm sure you've noticed, even as we head into the winter holidays. But some analysts are worried that today's OPEC meeting, as well as the wars in Ukraine and the Israel-Hamas conflict, may disrupt the ongoing price trend. Mike Valerio takes a closer look at how these things could possibly negatively impact gas prices down the road.
A gift at the gas pump just in time for the holidays. Gas prices are still dropping and leaving more jingle in consumers' pockets.
It's the longest decline that we've seen since the summer of 2022.
Despite a series of threats that suggested the opposite could happen, gas prices have now fallen every day since their peak on September 18th. According to AAA, that's a streak of more than 61 consecutive days. That significant drop comes despite Russia's ongoing war on Ukraine and the Israel-Hamas conflict.
That's the good news for the next few months. The bad news is that if Middle East tensions remain high into the first quarter of 2024, then you'll see gasoline prices move up independently of crude.
According to AAA, the average price for a gallon of regular gas stood at $3.25 on Wednesday. That's down 25 cents from a month ago. Right now, 15 states are averaging $3 or less for a gallon of gas, according to AAA. And there are now more than 20,000 gas stations selling gas at $2.75 a gallon or less. That's according to Gas Buddy, which says you can expect those low prices for the next several months.
I do expect that between now and, say, Valentine's Day of next year, gas prices should be in the low $3 range nationally, with many states falling below that $3 a gallon mark.
Meanwhile, OPEC and its allies have a critical meeting scheduled this week, and experts say the outcome of that gathering could impact prices at your local gas station.
That OPEC meeting could hold the key to future gas prices.
According to AAA, the average price for a gallon of regular gas in Wisconsin is $2.93, and in Minnesota, the average price is $3.05. That does it for your morning consumer news. It is 6:18. Time to check in with Derek for a look at today's forecast.
All right, thanks for that, Alexandra. We got clear skies this morning, but the combination of the clear skies along with temperatures that are below freezing and the fact that we have some calm winds indicates that we will be looking at some frost formation on your windshield. So maybe get that ice scraper ready. You might need it here for your commute. South winds at 32 degrees with those clear skies now in place. Current temperatures in Eau Claire, 20 here for you. Clear skies, winds are calm. The dew point at 16, pretty close to the actual temperature of 20. So that's why we're looking at a little bit of moisture here that could develop on your windshield and kind of freeze up. So we are looking at those clear skies all across the viewing area here this morning with current temperature readings into the 30s for the most part, especially from areas like Winona south into La Crosse and also into Viroqua. We're right at the freezing mark of 32, but if you're in Black River Falls, you're at 15. Viroqua's at 32. Boscobel currently at 19 degrees. So as we take a look now at your planner, we'll be looking at clear skies, 28 being the temperature to start with. By noon, partly cloudy with temperatures at 40. We drop down a bit to 39 though, under sunny skies at 4, mostly clear 30 degrees by 8 o'clock this evening, with our forecast highs mainly into the 40s yet again today, with the exception of the Chippewa Valley. A little cooler this afternoon, your highs will be into the upper 30s. All right, so we do have a cold front currently moving through the Coulee region now as we speak, and it should clear the area by late morning. I'm thinking around 11 o'clock or so. Maybe a few leftover clouds in the wake of that front, but for the most part, the Coulee region should stay mostly sunny throughout today. We're going to increase the cloud cover, though, for tonight in association with this low pressure system developing to our south. But I think a lot of the moisture associated with the system, as you can see, is going to be mainly to our east. So it's not really going to be bothering us too much, with the only exception of just increasing cloud cover throughout the day tomorrow. So we're not really expected to see a whole lot of sun thanks to that system moving by. Here's a check on your 8-day forecast, and you can see that we have another day of highs in the 40s, but we'll barely reach 40, I'm thinking, for tomorrow. 38 and mostly cloudy as we head into the first part of your weekend there on Saturday. By Sunday, we could be looking at some snow flurries with a high of 39, and we look to be partly cloudy for much of the work week next week, with highs into the upper 30s, pushing near 41 though by Thursday. A couple of chances maybe of seeing a slight chance of a snow flurry or two possible on Tuesday. Our low temperatures will be mainly into the 20s. Alexandra?
All right, Derek, thank you. Still to come on your morning news, losing a family member can have a major impact on not only your mental health, but your physical health too. After the break, we'll take a look at a few ways you can support someone who has lost a family member.
After a tough start to the season, the UWL men's basketball team has rebounded nicely. The Eagles have won 3 straight. They were looking to make it 4 in a row last night. I'll have those highlights coming up in the Blitz. Welcome to the Blitz. It was a tough start for the UWL men's basketball team. Back-to-back losses to start the season, but the Eagles have rebounded nicely. They've won 3 straight games. They were looking to make it 4 in a row last night at home. Let's go to Mitchell Hall. Eagles looking for their 4th straight win, hosting Bethany Lutheran. The Vikings coming to play. First half, Keegan Heiderscheit puts his squad up 3. Eagles clawing back, though. The Toma grad, Dustin DeRusso, drains one from downtown. Eagles go up by 1. Vikings answer, though, and they get hot from deep. Dominic Bangu hits the corner 3, and then Elijah Johnson follows him. Visitors go up by 3, and they weren't done. Hunter Nielsen down low, lays it up and in. Vikings take a 9-point lead into the break, but the Eagles storming back. Pretty fine from DeRusso, behind the back to Will Furman for the corner 3. That cuts it to 5, and then it's DeRusso with the drive. score off the glass. Eagles within 3. Other end, Vikings respond in a big way. Bangou throws it down. It's back to a 5-point lead. Eagles not going away, though. Austin Westrow working down low. Count the bucket plus the foul. It's back to a 2-point game. Then with less than 12 to go, it's DeRusso again. 2 more of his team high 16. Eagles erase a 14-point deficit, tie it at 49. Then with less than 10 to play, Chris Green goes up strong for 2. He puts the Eagles on top, but Bethany Lutheran keeps answering back. Mason Ackley, count the bucket plus the foul. Vikings would eventually put in the game winner as time expired. Eagles drop a heartbreaker at home, 68-67. Let's go to Sioux City, Iowa. The Viterbo volleyball team beginning pool play against Columbia International University. Seahawks taking the first 2 sets. They were tested in the third. The Winona grad, Grace Rohde, ties it at 21. But CIU's Lydia Gustafson puts her squad back on top. She dumps it in, put Columbia up 1. Smart play here, though, from Maddie Connor. CIU can't return it. We're tied again. It's 23-all. Until this play, later in the set, the Holman grad, Kenzie Winker, going up high for the kill. It's match point for the V-Hawks. CIU claws right back, though. Grayson Norris keeps her squad alive. That ties it at 24. The V-Hawks eventually pull away for good. Again, it's Winker putting the exclamation point on this one. V-Hawks go up 1, and then on match point, CIU gets called for a rotation violation, and that's how Viterbo wins it. V-Hawks secure the sweep in the opening match of pool play, 3-0. On the diamond now, he's done it again. For the second time in his career, Devin Williams has been named the Trevor Hoffman Reliever of the Year. What a season it was for the Brewers closer. 36 saves, a 1.53 ERA. And check out this resume. At just 29 years of age, Williams is already a 2-time reliever of the year. He's got a career 1.89 ERA. He's a 2-time All-Star. He also won Rookie of the Year back in 2020. Williams definitely one of the bright spots for the Brewers moving forward. That's going to do it for the Blitz. We'll see you tonight.
Thank you for watching News 8 Now. Expect more.
Welcome back. Former President Jimmy Carter said his final goodbyes to his wife of 77 years, Rosalind Carter. The loss of a family member can have a big impact on both your physical and emotional health. Mandy Gaither has a few ways you can help support someone who's going through the grief of loss.
Losing a loved one is never easy, but the loss of a longtime spouse can be especially hard.
Couples have oftentimes compensated for one another's deficits.
Geriatrician Amit Shah with Mayo Clinic says surviving spouses may have to take on new roles and responsibilities because of their loss. It can be especially overwhelming as they deal with grief, which can affect them not only emotionally, but physically as well.
There's a syndrome called broken heart syndrome, where you can actually see a person's heart function decline on an ultrasound or echocardiogram of their heart.
Shaw says asking how you can help fill in the gaps for things a partner used to do can help. Since there's no timeline for grief and everyone feels it differently, Shaw says to check in on a surviving spouse often and over time.
Don't give up on them. Remember them beyond that acute period, and really reach out.
Shaw says to help them grow around their grief by acknowledging things will never be the same and engage with them. Try to get them doing things they once enjoyed, like a hobby. He says never assume you know how they're feeling.
Because what if they are feeling relieved that death has finally come and suffering is over, and you're expecting them to be sad, and now you've made them feel badly about not being sad. So I think just open-ended, genuine care can never go wrong.
Dr. Shaw adds that seniors may be even more vulnerable to being scammed while they're grieving. He also says loved ones should be watchful and make sure the person who's grieving is not being taken advantage of. Schools across the country may soon be able to get free COVID antigen tests. The U.S. Department of Education says they plan to roll out free tests to schools next month. The tests can be taken at school or taken at home. This comes as the Wisconsin Department of Health Services is reporting the number of COVID cases has grown by 22% over the past week, and the number of COVID patients in the ICU in the state is now sitting at 23%. Former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger died last night. According to a statement from his firm, the diplomat died in his home in Connecticut. Kissinger was known for advising several American presidents, including the Ford, Obama, and Trump administrations. He was also known for easing tensions with the Soviet Union during the height of the Cold War. In 1973, Kissinger was awarded a Nobel Peace Prize for his role in negotiations that ended the Vietnam War. Henry Kissinger was 100 years old. Back at home, Grace Lutheran Church in Eau Claire will soon have a new look and purpose: apartment rooms for homeless veterans, as Habitat for Humanity works to convert classrooms into living space for the vets. This comes as Wisconsin sees rising numbers of veterans without stable housing. The Housing Council Assistance reports more than 300 homeless vets are currently living in the state. News 8's Jeremy Wall takes us inside the project full of good grace.
Relief is on the way for homeless veterans. Chippewa Valley Habitat for Humanity is sectioning part of the Grace Lutheran Church for them to call home.
We had looked around at various opportunities within the Eau Claire area, and this one just laid out the best for converting classrooms to apartments.
11 apartments will be turned into studios, 1 bedrooms and a 2-bedroom unit. Housing will take up to 3 floors of the church. 2 of the floors will be units and 1 floor will be a common area. Vacant classrooms aren't the only reason Habitat for Humanity chose Grace Lutheran Church.
We're assuming that a good percentage of the vets will be handicapped, and the fact that they need services, having this location in the city close to services is an ideal place.
Ralph Ambrose is a veteran. Although he's not homeless, he's seen his veteran friends struggle.
Quite a few of my friends, when they get out, if they have any other problems besides being homeless or struggling to find a home, it compounds it.
He tells News 8 Now it's also challenging to find a home when you're a veteran with low income. The nonprofit sees the apartments as a stepping stone for them.
In this particular case, we felt that it was too big of a leap to go from homeless to home. So this is an interim phase where they'll rent, and then when they get healed, then they'll move to affordable housing.
The apartments are slated to be ready by the summer. This Friday is News 8 Now's annual Joy of Sharing at the Onalaska Festival Foods. One of the organizations benefiting is La Crosse's Salvation Army. That organization supplies a crucial service to our area, shelter to the homeless population. As temperatures continue to drop, their work becomes more important than ever. The funds collected from the Joy of Sharing go to support programs for the shelter's residents.
The money comes in to help provide housing, provide meals, provide assistance to individuals. It helps us to be able to support and provide as well wraparound programs and services to help folks from being unhoused to housing.
The La Crosse Salvation Army shelter has been full since April 1st with 61 residents, including 3 families. News 8 Now will be accepting cash donations for the Salvation Army. Again, we'll be at Festival Foods in Onalaska tomorrow starting at 5 a.m. We'll be there till 6:30 p.m. You can also drop off unwrapped new toys for Toys for Tots or non-perishable food items for the Hunger Task Force. It is 6:36. Time now to check in with Derek to tell us what to expect for our morning commute. How is it looking out there, Derek?
Well, Alexandra, it's looking nice, but you may need that ice scraper handy because we are seeing some frost develop here on some of the windshields. At least I did this morning because of the combination of the temperatures that are below freezing and also the fact that we have our dew points pretty close to the temperature, making a little bit of some moisture becoming possible as well. So that could cause some ice. But we got partly cloudy conditions by around the lunch hour, and clear skies are expected as we head into your evening commute. Again, the temperatures below freezing in some spots, and in fact, right along the Mississippi from Winona, La Crosse into Viroqua, we're seeing temperatures right at the freezing mark of 32. In Eau Claire, you're currently at 20 degrees. Again, mostly clear skies across the area here this morning. That will continue throughout the day. We got 42 being our high temperature, pretty mild this afternoon. Our winds shift from the southwest to the northwest at 5 to 10 miles an hour. And for tonight, our temperatures dropped to 22. That's a bit more seasonable here tonight as well. Mostly cloudy skies, though we're going to be looking at north-northeast winds at around 5 to 10. I'll have another check on your full weather forecast coming up one more time in just a bit.
Before we head to break, it's time to look at today's Look Who's 8.
Sadly, we don't have any birthdays to celebrate, though, this morning.
But if you do have a birthday today, happy birthday.
Yeah.
And if you know a special someone turning 8 weeks, 8 months, 8 years, 18, 80, or 88 years old soon, we would love to feature them.
That's right. Just upload their photo to our website, news8000.com, and you want to look for that Submit Pictures button underneath the home tab on our website.
Stay with us. We'll have some of the crew of UWL's upcoming performance of The Wolves in studio to talk about their upcoming weekend premiere.
Well, it sure is an absolute beautiful start this morning. A little cold though, and in fact, you may run to a little bit of some frost developing on your windshield. I know I did this morning. I had to scrape that off because of the colder temperatures below freezing this morning and the combination of seeing some higher relative humidity causing some moisture to develop, and that could turn to some ice. So you might want to give yourself some extra time on your morning commute. 32 degrees is the temperature now in La Crosse. In Eau Claire, we're running much colder than that though. We're currently sitting at 20 with clear skies. We got calm light winds there, and we got pressure reading of 29.66 inches. Meanwhile, we do have mostly clear skies all across the Coulee region now as we speak. This trend is expected to continue for much of the day, by the way, as well. Heading out the door, you'll definitely need that jacket. We got temperature readings at 30 in Winona, 21 in Sparta, 32 degrees currently in Viroqua. Check out Black River Falls there at 15 degrees, and Basketball also into the teens, sitting at 19 now. Here's a check now on that planner. We'll be looking at partly cloudy conditions at 12 o'clock with temperatures at 40, so another mild early afternoon start is expected. 39 degrees with sunshine by 4 p.m. and then by 8 o'clock mostly clear with temperatures at around 30 degrees. So our forecast high temperatures today are expected to be mainly into the 40s, making it yet another, again, mild day across much of the Coulee region, with the exception of seeing highs into the upper 30s closer towards the north in the Chippewa Valley, including areas like Eau Claire. So we do have a cold front currently moving through the Coulee region as we speak. It should clear the area by around 11 o'clock this morning. A couple of clouds left over in the wake of that front, certainly possible, but as you can see, most of Wisconsin in general is going to be looking mostly sunny today. Now, I am watching this next storm system developing to our south, and it looks like it's going to pass us here as it moves towards the northeast and away from us. So I'm not really expecting a whole lot of precipitation with this system. That's why those chances of precipitation are looking pretty low in general, as most of it will be south and east of us as it moves away. But you can see the abundance of cloud cover expected to take shape for the day tomorrow. Now, speaking of tomorrow, high temperatures will be pretty similar to today with highs in the 40s. I expect La Crosse to just barely hit 40 degrees tomorrow afternoon, and then we're looking at highs into the upper 30s for the weekend. Under mostly cloudy skies for Saturday, maybe a slight chance of flurries on Sunday, but otherwise as we head into next week, we do expect partly cloudy conditions with those highs into the upper 30s and low 40s. Slight chance of a few flurries on Tuesday. Low temperatures will be mainly into the 20s.
All right, Derek, thank you. Well, we have some members of the UWL Theater Department with us this morning. Hello, good morning. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, and you guys are here to talk about your upcoming play called The Wolves.
Yes.
So what can you tell us about that play a little bit?
So the play follows a team of 9 soccer players, all girls, 16 and 17. So we see them warming up for games over the course of 6 weeks. Okay. So in those conversations that they have, we find out a lot about them as people, what they're struggling with, things like that. But then they also have to warm up, do soccer drills, and all that. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah, so did you learn any lessons from the characters in the play? Which character do you think stands out the most too?
In this show, it's definitely an ensemble piece. There's not one main character, and so we all get to kind of discover what our character ends up between weeks 1 through 6. And that was a big thing Mary leaned into throughout the process, was just kind of letting us discover and try new things and seeing where our character leads us.
And did you guys have any soccer skills prior to going into this, or did you have to learn to play soccer, or how was that?
We got to work with the UWL soccer coach and some of the members on the girls soccer team, and so they helped us train. Wow. I think we did around 6 times prior to starting rehearsals, and it was super helpful and fun to get to learn some soccer tricks from them.
Okay, yeah, very hands-on there. And so without, well, let's see. How does the play tie soccer and political concepts together?
Well, I think the biggest way we do that is while we're warming up and doing those soccer drills, we are talking the whole time, as girls would be on a soccer team. And we do discuss a lot of political topics that are happening, for example, the Cambodian genocides. But then also we turn and just talk about coming of age topics that we talk about as we're going through our lives.
Okay, so kind of a way to get some deeper topics in with, you know, maybe more casual girl talk.
Yeah, it's pretty fast-paced, and there's a lot of overlapping dialogue, as you could imagine there would be in real life. So I think that's one of the kind of standout parts of the show, too.
So we're getting a lot of good feedback. Why do you think the play is so important to you guys?
I think one of the reasons that I have actually always wanted to do this show is it's a cast of 10 women, which is not something we see very often. It also is dealing with those 10 women's relationship to each other. A lot of the times in theater, roles for women are cast opposite men, and they're about romantic relationships. And while some of the girls are talking about those things, it's just about these women, and they're all very strong characters. So that's one of the reasons that I was really excited to find out it was going to be my first show here. So.
And what made you ladies excited or interested in getting involved with the Wolves?
I think going off of that, like the aspect of just being an all-female cast and it really not being focused on like love, but like individuality and like coming into your own, especially like, you know, we all went through high school and we know that like discovering yourself and like discovering who you are as a person, but also kind of doing some soccer stuff. You know, I grew up in a sports household.
Okay.
So it was just kind of fun to like add that element into like something that I love, and so my family can like relate to me and stuff like that.
Yeah, the sports is definitely a big part of a lot of people's upbringing. So yeah, cool theme there.
So where can people get tickets?
You can get tickets online if you go to the UWL homepage and search theater there, or you can come by them in box office. It is open from 1 to 3 p.m. Monday through Friday, and then an hour before each show.
Okay.
And then when is the premiere, and what are the performance dates?
We open this Friday.
Okay.
We have evening shows at 7:30 Friday and Saturday, and then a 2 o'clock matinee. And then next weekend, we have shows Thursday, Friday, Saturday evening, and a 2 o'clock matinee on Sunday.
Okay, great. Anything else you ladies want to add about the play? Or your experience, or?
Oh gosh, I would just say, like I mentioned, this is my first semester here at UWL, and it's just been so wonderful to work with this group of students, just really passionate and hardworking, and incorporating those soccer skills and working with the UWL soccer team has just been like something I never imagined would have happened in my first semester here. So it's a 90-minute show, no intermission. It's quick, it's fast-paced. It's funny. It's also dramatic. So it's a different kind of show. So.
And would you say it's suitable for all ages, or should the kids stay at home?
I would say, I always like to tell parents, you know your kids better than anyone else. But I would probably say high school and up. But they could also feel free to drop us an email or call the box office, and we could give them more information about specifics. There is adult language and whatnot. So.
Okay.
Do you have any more plays coming up in the future, you think?
We do. Next semester, we have James and the Giant Peach, Orlando, and
a dance concert.
A dance concert. I'm like, I'm forgetting something. Yes, and this will be the first year that we're doing a full dance concert as a production, so we're very excited about that.
Oh, very cool. Well, yeah, we look forward to learning more about that. And thank you so much for joining us, and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we will be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. It's 6:52. Time for your morning news now. A man accused of attempted homicide in La Crosse will have his competency evaluated. That was decided in court yesterday. 43-year-old Freeman Cole is accused of beating and trying to strangle a woman to death. Cole faces counts of attempted first-degree intentional homicide, strangulation and suffocation, and false imprisonment. Attorneys raised Cole's competency, and he will now undergo an evaluation to see whether or not he's fit to stand trial. He's expected back in court December 29th. A Rochester man arrested in La Crosse is now facing federal charges. A grand jury indicted 24-year-old Javon Jones-Shields in Madison for multiple drug and gun charges. If convicted of cocaine possession, he'll face 20 years in prison. The firearm charge carries a mandatory minimum of 5 years and a maximum of life. Schools across the country may soon be able to get free COVID-19 tests. The U.S. Department of Education says they expect free tests to roll out to schools next month, and the test can be administered on school grounds or taken home. This comes as the Wisconsin Department of Health Services is reporting the number of COVID cases has grown by 22% over the past week, and the number of COVID patients in the ICU in the state is now at 23%. Tomorrow is News 8 Now's annual Joy of Sharing at the Onalaska Festival Foods. One of the organizations benefiting is La Crosse's Salvation Army. The organization supplies a crucial service to our area, providing shelter to those who are homeless. And as temperatures continue to drop, their work is more important than ever. The funds collected from the Joy of Sharing go to support programs for the shelter's residents.
The money comes in to help provide housing, provide meals, provide assistance to individuals. It helps us to be able to support and provide as well wraparound programs and services to help folks from being unhoused to housing.
The La Crosse Salvation Army shelter has been full since April 1st with 61 residents. That includes 3 families. News 8 Now will accept cash donations for the Salvation Army. Don't forget, we'll be at Festival Foods in Onalaska tomorrow starting bright and early at 5 a.m. until 6:30 p.m. You can also drop off unwrapped new toys for the Toys for Tots organization or non-perishable food items for the Hunger Task Force.
And as you head out the door this morning, keep that ice scraper handy. You might need it here as we do have temperatures below freezing in many spots, along with a little bit of moisture here at the surface as well. That could cause a little bit of some ice to develop on your vehicle. As we head throughout the day, we are going to be looking at mostly sunny conditions. High temperatures this afternoon will reach the low 40s. So another mild day in store, possibly again tomorrow, but I think for the most part, skies looking cloudy, will barely reach 40. As we head into this weekend, mostly cloudy skies, highs into the upper 30s, slight chance of a few flurries on Sunday, partly cloudy for much of next week with highs into the upper 30s.
One final thing to help put the good in your morning, Spotify has released its list of the top streamed artists on the platform. And spoiler alert, the Queen of Cardigans has won one of the spots. The music streaming service says Taylor Swift was their top streamed artist, receiving more than 26.1 billion streams this year. However, the anti-hero star did not win the top global song of the year. That went to Miley Cyrus for her hit Flowers, which had more than 1.6 billion global streams. And for the 4th year in a row, the Joe Rogan Experience took the spot as the year's most streamed podcast. Spotify users can see their own personal yearly metrics on the streaming service's mobile app or on any of the desktop platforms. And I'm sure you've seen your friends sharing all over social media. You know, every year these lists, I feel like everyone, looks forward to posting them. I am an Apple Music user though, so I don't get to take part in the fun of that.
You know, no surprise to me that Taylor Swift is #1.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
No surprises or shockers there. All right, well, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We will see you back here at noon. Have a great day.